people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this, our continued coverage of all this past weekend's action in the women's light flyweight division. WBC champion Lulu Juarez was able to effectively out-hustle and outmaneuver Yokasta Valle, who had moved up to the weight for the second time, but this time...
And I was afraid this would happen.
She lost. That Lourdes Juarez presents a very different style than Daniela Bermudez did when Yokasta moved up and fought her. Daniela Bermudez is a mid-range to inside fighter, whereas Lourdes...
So she's a mid-range to outside fighter, a mover, a jabber, a boxer's boxer.
Thus, I knew she would present a peskier style for Yokasta Valle than what she's used to. I went with Yokasta Valle to win a points decision on the premise that Yokasta is very busy within a round.
She does throw a lot of punches.
And that is how Mexico's own Ashley Gonzalez was able to beat Lourdes Juarez when they fought in the super flyweight division, though not factoring into the equation that Ashley Gonzalez is a bigger woman than Yokasta Valle, with more ring coverage and more power. So the activity did not do for Yokasta Valle what it did for Ashley Gonzalez up there at super flyweight. For Yokasta, it was very difficult to even get within striking distance of Lourdes, who was on her toes, boxing and punching and switching stances.
Going from orthodox back to southpaw, back over to orthodox, giving Yokasta different looks, landing straight punches down the middle while she did it.
Smiling at her the entire time, even after Yokasta gets in with a decent-looking shot.
Smiling at her the whole time.
Getting off the counters, because even when Yokasta connects with one of those wide looping shots, she's not a one-hitter-quitter puncher. She doesn't pack that kind of power, so just landing a single punch, it wasn't enough to turn the tide.
It's not having the desired effect. Yokasta usually beats her opponents on activity by outlanding them.
Whereas with Lourdes this past weekend, she was only able to get in with one or two punches at a time before getting popped right in the mouth, before getting countered. I noticed it almost immediately that Lourdes was knocking her off balance with her straight punches as Yokasta Valle tried to crash the pocket, tried to come in.
She was getting knocked off balance very early in the fight from the straight punches and the counters right down the middle from Lourdes Juarez.
And in those occasional moments where Yokasta's able to get in with a good, clean punch, it didn't do much to Lourdes Juarez. It didn't rattle her. She was very relaxed.
She was very calm the whole time, smiling at Yokasta because she knew she was up, and she knew she was up by a lot.
To surmise what we saw, it's a situation where Yokasta Valle's trademark aggression worked against her because Lourdes is a little taller, is a little longer, she's moving around.
She's got more ring coverage than Yokasta, so while she's moving, she can still touch her with straight punches from a distance.
And do it safely. It's the worst I've ever seen Yokasta Valle in a fight. I would argue that Lourdes Juarez did a better and more decisive job on Yokasta than when Senicia Estrada fought her. When Senicia fought her, afterwards, it was close, it was competitive, it was contentious. There were people saying they thought Yokasta won, whereas after this weekend's fight, nobody thought Yokasta beat Lourdes.
Nobody.
The prediction didn't stick on this one. I thought maybe through activity Yokasta could outwork her, but that activity worked against her.
She got knocked down late in the fight. I believe it was in the 10th and final round. She got dropped.
Off a well-placed 1-2 combination down the pipe, what is the second MVP fighter that she has upset.
The first was Jessica Niri Plata. The second is now Yokasta Valle. Now both the Valle sisters have suffered losses under the MVP banner since joining them.
I said that I didn't like this fight for Yokasta, and that Lourdes would present a very pesky style for her. I didn't see the point in moving up and fighting for that title when Yokasta's got a WBC title of her own in the minimum weight division. If anything, have her unified down there. Don't move her back up to light flyweight.
Even if she would have won, it wouldn't have led to anything because Yokasta already beat the only other champion at this weight. Evelyn Bermudez.
And you know that it's probably better for the division that Yokasta lost and Lourdes won, because that sets up an undisputed title fight between Lourdes and Evelyn. Those two champions haven't fought.
Yokasta would have won, it wouldn't have led to nothing, but because Lourdes won, we've got something to look forward to.
I don't really think that Yokasta losing at light flyweight will affect her status as a champion at minimum. I think the World Boxing Council will allow her to keep her title down there, so she can still pursue undisputed.
Lick her wounds, stage a little rebound fight in her native Costa Rica where she promotes her own shows without any need of assistance from MVP. She can bounce back off the loss over the summer months and look to fight the other champions at her own weight.
I was sorry to see her lose the way that she did, but I knew it was a distinct possibility because Lourdes is a crafty boxer.
And now it's time for another installment of what has fast become one of the most popular segments here on the channel. Not the Ring IQ hate mail, but the Ring IQ mailbag, which is a lot more friendly. Friend of the channel, David Wilson, asked, I would love to see your take on Dr. Boxing Talk smearing Jai Opataya regarding the WBC stepping in and replacing Jai with Benavidez.
Who is Dr. Boxing Talk? He's one of the smaller content creators within the YouTube boxing space. I actually minced words with this guy last week about this same subject.
When the order first came down.
Unable to defend the arguments that he was trying to make, the entire conversation devolved into ad hominem attacks and name-calling.
Because while this is not the first time that the World Boxing Council would have ordered one of their champions to unify with somebody else's, it would be the first time they threatened to strip their own champion for non-compliance. They never did that before, which makes it a lot more obvious you're just trying to take that belt from Noel any way that you can to give it to David, and you want to give it to David because you don't want Jai to win it. The order came down right on time to block the Opataya fight from happening that we all know was being negotiated for weeks now and was on the eve of being finalized. The World Boxing Council knew what they were doing, and so does Dr. Boxing Talk?
He's trying to make all of this Jai Opataya's fault, and this is going to sound familiar, for migrating over to Zuffa. A lot of people out there are trying to castigate him for going over there as if he had somewhere else to go.
We've been over it many times that upon his Matchroom deal ending, he was not offered an extension to stay with Matchroom, and he wasn't offered a promotional contract by anyone else, the PBC included.
The PBC that have just offered Noel Mikhailian a 3-fight deal that starts with the Benavidez fight, they didn't offer Jai Opataya anything.
Why?
Because they don't want to make that fight. Underneath it all, they know what Jai Opataya will do to David Benavidez if they do fight. They'd rather he fight Noel Mikhailian instead. So upon Jai entering free agency, nobody, not Matchroom, not the PBC, not Top Rank, not nobody, offered this guy a deal except for Zuffa. So what was he supposed to do?
The answer to that question is unimportant to a Dr. Boxing Talk and many others like him trying to castigate Jai for going to Zuffa because that's their built-in excuse for David not to fight him. Well, he went to Zuffa. David doesn't want to fight for a Zuffa belt.
Nobody's asking him to. And nobody's asking him to go fight on Paramount, where Jai Opataya fights. You could have fought him on one of Turkey's shows, like when you fought Anthony Yard. You could have did that with Jai. You just don't want to fight Jai. And guys like Dr. Boxing Talk are just making excuses.
It's already been widely reported that an offer was made for David to fight Jai, and he rejected it because reportedly he wants to target Canelo.
The Canelo that doesn't want to fight him.
While petitioning the WBC not but a few days ago to allow him to fight Noel Mikhailian, which they have.
And we've been all through that, focusing on a Dr. Boxing Talk and any other boxing fans like him that are making up excuses for David not to fight Jai. These people are bad for boxing.
Usually Americans.
And what you notice about the Americans is they love to click up the way that Mean Girls do, like in that Mean Girls movie. Oh, well, Jai went to Zuffa, so we need to ostracize him. We need to alienate him.
The fuck is that gonna do?
Protect David from getting his fucking ass kicked. Protect David from getting exposed and further allow them to put him on a pedestal.
Because for them, that's what it's about. They don't want David to even have that fight. They don't want him to get exposed because they don't want to be wrong about somebody else. Like they were wrong about Stephen Fulton going into the Inoue fight, like they were wrong about Spence and wrong about Wilder. They don't want to be wrong about him.
So they don't want that fight to happen, and that's why they're bad for boxing. So instead of getting that fight, the best one in the division, you're getting an overpriced unification match that nobody was asking for with Noel Mikhailian, which wouldn't be so bad if they weren't going to bill it as a pay-per-view.
David, his father, have spent weeks saying nobody knows Jai Opataya, but they know Noel Mikhailian?
And you expect me to believe that you're gonna make more fighting Noel Mikhailian on pay-per-view that nobody knows and nobody's gonna buy it than you would have made boxing Jai on one of Turkey's shows?
Of course not.
But people like Dr. Boxing Talk are so ridiculous and so mediocre, they actually advocate for fights they're not even gonna buy, because I don't think he's gonna kick out the $75.99 for that pay-per-view.
Yet he's so happy that it's happening.
I mean, even if by some chance he were an outlier, and he does mean to buy it, guess what?
What?
Most people don't. Most people won't. And that's why he's bad for boxing.
These would-be content creators have figured out that they profiteer over a longer timeline from fights that don't happen than fights that do, because once the fights happen, we reach finality.
You don't get to make 10 and 12 and 20 videos about the same thing anymore for weeks and months on end. Once the fights happen, we get our answers, and
Haven't you noticed it?
Dr. Boxing Talk and other guys like him are always advocating against the fight.
I mean, that's what we saw with Spence and Crawford for about 5 years. That's what we're seeing with Jai and David now. These people don't even want David to fight Jai. They don't want him to fight him so he can shut guys like me and you up, because they're scared of what will happen.
So they jump on their little YouTube channels, upload their little YouTube videos, and try to make it okay for David to swerve him.
Trying to explain to guys like me and you why it's okay, why it's all right.
How many times have you heard me say, to be a fan of David, it involves a certain requisite level of cognitive dissonance, because you have to ignore a lot of things to support this guy and what he's doing and what he's not doing.
You gotta ignore a lot of things so that it doesn't look like he's ducking, so that whatever doesn't happen, somehow it's just not his fault, even though it's a pattern with him.
You know, I like Jai Opataya. I followed his career for years, but I don't like him so much that I would try to keep him out of a fight to protect him. This shit is gay.
Gay.
What the fuck is that? You like a boxer so much you don't want him to box? Maybe guys like me are overestimating Jai Opataya. Maybe David can beat him, but we'll never know because David's too much of a pussy.
You guys are too scared to want to find out.
Still hiding behind side of the street politics when Turkey LL Sheik and his money have effectively blurred those political boundary lines. It's not like David has never boxed on one of his shows before. He has. So why are you still making excuses for him not to? Nobody's asking him to fight on the Paramount side of things, and nobody's asking him to fight for a Zuffa belt. You just lean into an argument that no one is making.
Still hiding behind side of the street politics.
So when I see the Americentric content creators like a Dr. Boxing Talk or somebody else going on with their usual spiel,
That's what's called a bad faith argument. That really isn't even worth having, because the person arguing is arguing in bad faith. It's not about what Jai should have done upon entering free agency. It's not about making the best fight or doing the right thing. People like Dr. Boxing Talk,
when they argue, they only ever argue in bad faith, so it's best not to argue with them, not to bother with them. We know what's going on. We don't need him to acknowledge it.
he's the one trying to convince us that this is all right, where we see it for what it is.
A stone-cold duck. As it pertains to David Benavidez, supposedly, he's nearing free agency according to boxing scribe Sean Zettel. David Benavidez could be approaching a significant career crossroads. Sean Zettel revealed that David Benavidez has only one fight remaining with promoter Samson Lukowicz, a detail that could affect his future options at light heavyweight and cruiser.
Like he's gonna go back down to light heavy.
David Benavidez only has one fight left with his current promoter, Samson Lukowicz, said Zettel on his YouTube channel. Now, this is just my 2 cents, my speculation. I wonder if Dana White and Zuffa, who apparently are open to working with Louis DeCubas and Al Heyman, what if David is waiting for that deal to be up?
What if you're just making excuses for David because you're an Americentric content creator?
And what if the other side is waiting for David's deal to be up so that they can do business straight away without a current promoter contract in place?
And what if the cucumbers taste better pickled? We can what if the hell out of this thing all fucking day till we're blue in the face. The reality of it is, David willfully chose to fight somebody else when he was offered money by Turkey to fight Jai.
So until further notice, that's a stone-cold duck. The article continues, Benavidez's future has become a major topic in recent weeks as his team pursues options at both light heavy and cruiser. Jose Benavidez Sr. told Zettel that Dimitri Bivol remains the preferred target, with Artur Beterbiev also high on the list if a fight with Bivol cannot be made.
None of those fights are gonna get made, because the whole time Dimitri has been out getting back surgery, that was David's opportunity to get Artur Beterbiev out of the way. In that time, Artur Beterbiev called him out. What does David do?
He fights Zurdo Ramirez instead. As if anybody thinks Zurdo is as good a fighter as Artur.
Zettel suggested Benavidez's contractual situation could become an important factor if major opportunities emerge through Turkey El Sheikh, Dana White, or Zuffa Boxing.
If major opportunities emerge, Sean, they already have, and he already turned them down.
Maybe you don't want that promoter involved. Maybe you want to try to become his promoter alongside Louis DeCubas and Al Heyman. But I don't know. All I know is what was told to me from all these people involved, said Zettel. The comments come as Zettel reported that sources close to the situation believe a third fight between Beterbiev and Bivol is likely to take place in Russia rather than Saudi, potentially leaving Benavidez looking elsewhere for his next opportunity.
Well, a third fight between them wouldn't be happening if you would have took care of Artur while Dimitri was out injured.
You had plenty of time.
If the focus really were fighting Dimitri Bivol, the man who already beat Zurdo Ramirez and beat your boy, Canelo Alvarez, if he were the focus, you stay at light heavyweight, you get Artur out of the way, so the way is clear for you and Dimitri. But that's not what David did.
You don't think it would have been a stronger statement if David Benavidez goes in there with Artur instead of Zurdo and does to Artur what he did to Zurdo?
Yeah, it would have been. The problem is David can't do that to Artur. Otherwise, he would have tried. No, I don't think he can do to Artur what he did to Zurdo. Not even at this age.
Free agency.
Artur would have fucked him up, and I don't have a doubt in my mind. That's why he spent this amount of time swerving him. And not only him, but the man that beat him. As far as David's free agency, if he is about to enter free agency, I'm of the opinion he's not going to change his decorum. He's not going to go anywhere, because you go somewhere else.
You're going to get fucked up.
By my count, David's arrangement with the PBC has expired not once but 2 times already from 2015 till now. He tried to migrate over to Top Rank many years ago. People tend to forget that he was lured back to the PBC. And in more recent years,
his contract was said to have expired again, at which point they reached an extension. So if he's once again on the eve of free agency, I don't expect him to go anywhere, because somewhere else he doesn't get the protective force field, the shield that he gets at the PBC.
Fighting for Turkey, Turkey's gonna match you tough. He's gonna pay you well, but he's gonna match you tough.
David ain't about that life.
What usually tends to happen to PBC fighters that leave the island.
Usually.
Do you see what just happened to David Morrell at the hands of a domestic-level British fighter?
You think David wants to end up like that?
If he is about to enter free agency, I don't expect him to go anywhere. I expect him to reach an extension with his existing outfit.
Staying at the PBC.